We are doing an Audacy check-in right now with Dove Cameron. The new song Boyfriend came out a little under a month ago. Just absolutely killing it right now. How's it all feeling with you?
Oh, wild. Really wild because right before it came out, like a few days before it came out, there was no plan of ever releasing this song.
No
So
way.
it's been a totally, like my mind hasn't really caught up yet and everything just kind of happened overnight. So we're just kind of like reverse engineering what we would have done if we were planning on releasing this song, for months in advance. So I'm feeling really, really good and also kind of like not really fully in reality, but
That's
excited.
crazy. So what changed in you last minute that you were like, I got to put this out?
Nothing. So I came off of tour and I went into the studio the next day and I sat down to begin writing what I thought was going to be my debut EP. And my producer, Evan, and I just sat down and like wrote Boyfriend, like banged it out in like 2 hours, as a sort of like a warm up into what we were going to do for the rest of the EP. And then we put it to bed and we went back to the studio the next day, wrote another, like one of those things. And then it was the first one that we'd finished. And so it was the first one that I put on TikTok, just like in the background of me, being like whatever, being cute on camera or something. And people were responding to it, but it was like in the background. And so in January, I decided to put the current audio, the unfinished demo,
Yeah.
onto TikTok, just to sort of like be like, this is what I've been working on. Like, this is the update of the song that you guys heard in December. What do you think? And I went to sleep and I woke up the next day and everybody was like, hey, Dove, go check your TikTok. And it was like the audio started blowing up. And I was really like, I'm not really a social media person. And I wasn't like planning on, I didn't expect anything to come of that ever at all, and so I really wasn't prepared and we weren't prepared to put it out. The track was unfinished. It was like a demo that needed a lot of work. And it just started to, on TikTok, it went viral. So people were like, this is the time. If we're going to put the song out, it's going to be now. And without that, I don't know if it ever would have seen the light of day or if it would have come out next year or if it would have been an entirely different song. I have no idea. So yeah, we really kind of like had to put it out. And now we're trying to figure out, we're like, we need to shoot a music video. We need to do a photo shoot. Like it's been a really wild ride.
That's amazing. What a cool story. Has it like kind of in turn taught you anything about like maybe not overthinking things or just like kind of trusting where things go at all?
Yes, it was actually really wild because after the chorus blew up on TikTok, I have all of these like screenshots of me texting my producer, my other songwriter friends, like my other music artist friends, but like, people who I consider to be much more talented than I could ever be. And I was texting them in like a full panic, being like, what did I do? Like I haven't even finished this song. They're not going to like the rest of it. The chorus is misleading. It's a jazz song. It's not this big banging pop thing that everybody probably thinks it is. Like I was just, I was like imposter syndroming myself into the center of the earth. Right. And I was like, who do I think I am? Writing a queer anthem, like, and also it was so something that I just never, like, I think if I had engineered it more to like be a hit in a way that like I thought a hit should be written,
yeah,
I wouldn't have written it the way that I wrote it. So when it was blowing up, I got really like, I kept texting my friends being like, I feel like I am naked and everybody's in my house. I was like, I just was like, I was second guessing myself to the max. And it was really interesting, the dichotomy and the comparison between that week of me in a tailspin, and then the very kind sort of like unanimous like support that I've been getting on the song. I've been crying a lot because I've just been texting and calling and speaking to all my best friends, being like, I have all these stories about I'm not allowed to be creating in this way, and it's really only me who's imposing that on myself, and it's really funny to see what happens, to my sort of creative freedom once I grant myself that space. And it makes me look back at times when I was like second guessing myself in the past that maybe that was also a story in my head. So it's really empowered me as a writer to express more honestly and not be so afraid to put things out that mean something to me rather than like what I think people are going to understand.
As somebody else who's notorious for making up stories in my head, like I just love hearing that. I love hearing that so much. I mean, the tonality of the song, I mean, you were kind of concerned because it didn't sound like a typical pop song, but I think that's why I love it so much because it's a sexy song and there's not much like that out there right now. And it just like, it's one of those that you hear for this first time and you go, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, ooh, this is like making me feel some kind of way. And is there like songs that made you feel the way that it seems like that it seems like Boyfriend's making your fans feel?
Oh yeah, so many. But I feel like they would be songs that are not like I'm trying to think of like I mean definitely like there's this song called The Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah, of course, it's a
Yeah,
classic.
yeah, Ballroom Blitz and like, you know, Girl Like You, Edwyn Collins, and like all these sort of like more they don't sonically sound too much like Boyfriend, but they have like a kind of a nod to like a sort of a 60s, 70s, like sort of natural instrumentation, but with some like there's a song called Bad Habits that I've been really gravitating towards lately that I'll have to pull up the artist for you. But just things that make me feel powerful. I don't know. Oh, Uckers by Shy Girl.
I'll
Is
have
it
to
Shy
check it
Girl?
out.
I'll have to look. I mean, I'm about to like make you a playlist. But definitely, you know, there are songs that make me feel really powerful, and they range anywhere from like, you know, Led Zeppelin to like crazy dubstep tracks and things like that. But definitely like big sound has always been a huge influence on me.
Well, that's what I was going to say is it's a feeling. And I think, you know, where we've been at with I don't even know if we're coming out of the pandemic at all or where we're at with that, but like having these songs that are like sexy and powerful and just make you feel really in your own when a lot of people weren't sure of what was happening the past 2 years is kind of needed.
Yeah, I also definitely think that like, you know, along the same lines of like feminine sensuality, sexuality, power, all of those things have always been a huge theme for me in my life with like, you know, I think for a lot of my young life, I felt incredibly infantilized, but not like me specifically, just like women in general are incredibly infantilized in a lot of our modern day culture with this sort of like, you know, men are allowed to be hypersexual, men are allowed to be very feeling and in their body and like very animalistic, and women are, you know, put on a pedestal and meant to be kept very like shielded from these things, right? That are like very inherent in just like the sexuality of existing as a powerful woman. And I really wanted to create a song that felt like a sort of a main character villain arc that like tapped me into my kind of like unnameable, like that kind of like that magic that like that place you go,
It's kind of like
especially
that
like when
Sasha
you're
Fierce moment. You know what I mean? Where you like
right,
tap into like
right.
it's good. You know, it's I like what the TikTok trend has been doing too, because it's like kind of exactly how I would envision it, not seeing the trend first. And what's funny is before I knew I was talking to you, I saved the sound because like I have an event I'm going to on Monday and I'm like, I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to do the one where I'm unready and then I get ready and there's the
I love
song.
that.
How do you feel about the trend and what's been happening with it?
I love it. I love it because also, you know, like the obviously the song is about, you know, it's a queer anthem, obviously. But I also think there's a bit of like I'm singing to another woman in the songs,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also funny enough. Maybe I'll tell a story of what inspired the song one day because it is actually a wild story. But part of it is also talking about how I could have been a better boyfriend to myself than this person. Like the you know it's not just about it is directly a queer anthem. I am directly singing to a real woman that does exist and she is out in the world still in New York somewhere, but it is also like I could be a better boyfriend than him for me. It's also a self-love song, which I think a lot of people are picking up on and embracing, especially with the, you know, the Get Ready With Me kind of challenge. Feeling like, just feeling like, you know, boss and powerful and like CEO and in your power, like for yourself, which I think is also sick.
Yeah. And last but not least, before we go, you said, I can't believe the kindness on Boyfriend. Should I release another one I wrote the same week? Like, obviously, you can't tell us too much about it, but is it like related to Boyfriend? Is it the same sort of vibe? What can you tell us?
So yeah, I mean, without giving too much away, I do have my next single all teed up, and I wrote it the exact same week as Boyfriend. I think probably the next day or 3 days later or something. And my producer and I were still very much in that same kind of like villain main character headspace. And we had this crazy idea while I was like on a plane or something, and I like flew back and we like got in the studio immediately. I wouldn't say that it's storyline related to Boyfriend, but I would say that sonically and the character perspective is very much the same. Like, you know, if you're a fan of Boyfriend sonically and the way it makes you feel, I think that you're going to be very happy with this next release.
Well, I'm excited. And thank you so much for talking to us, Dove Cameron, with an Audacy check-in.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.